Like, is Reese introing or what?
Well, we didn't think that one too far ahead.
Yeah, not at all.
Warning. There may be warnings. Warning.
Well, this is the T.G.C. podcast. Are we T.G.C. podcast?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that.
We'll stick with that for the time being. Hey guys, this is Eddie.
This is Reese.
And this is Brendan.
And we didn't really think that far ahead, so right now we're just happy that something's recording and that it's actually taking up our voices. Hey, Brendan, why don't you sort of walk through like the millions of potential listeners about the process of how we got to this position?
Well,
our millions of adoring fans.
Yeah, been waiting.
Man, I'm just waiting to get Hollywood to call me right now. It's got me phone. Basically, we thought, hey, everyone's recording podcasts. They're not too hard, right? Well, turns out it's not that easy. We thought we could get maybe 4 microphone headsets, plug them into a splitter, like a $2 splitter you'd buy from Kmart, or for you Americans and overseas listeners, Walmart, Tesco's, and
it's a third-floor information, dude.
and hook it up to GarageBand, and we'd have 4 headsets with 4 people talking. No, at the moment, after a lot of trials and tribulations, we've just got a laptop in front of us and we're trying the recording functionality of a basic laptop microphone.
So yeah, essentially what ended up happening was that we had this really fun idea about trying to do a podcast each week, and we thought that in our naivety it'd be really cheap and simple to do. It turns out it's not. So there's actually a massive paywall that we have to try and overcome if we want to make this a regular thing. But you know what? Fuck it, we're here. Also, there's going to be swearing because there's no way in hell I'm speaking myself.
We just assumed that we'd get together, get smashed, and talk into a couple microphones about what happened.
But it turns out there's stuff like audio leveling and like background noise and all this other shit we did not expect. So it's made it a little bit harder. But we'll get there,
So bear with us, It's a bit of a ghetto setup, but we'll get there eventually.
And by get up setup, we mean like, in the 5-bedroom house with the MacBook Pro and shit.
Yeah, and, a $1,600 gaming computer.
And we're sitting around a folding table.
Yeah. Hey, Brendan, can I have some more of your scotch?
Of course. So this
it's for the show.
so this podcast is brought to you by the lovely people at Suntory with the Hakushu Japanese single malt whiskey.
We're not actually sponsored by them. We're just,
but we are open to it.
Look. While I'm over in Japan at the end of the year, I'll talk about sponsorship deals. I'm sure they'd be more than happy to sponsor, a couple of Aussie blokes that like to sit around and get smashed. And our 4 listeners, which we do have: Adam, Nathan, Ryan. I'm making sure you guys are listening to this later.
Are you thinking about Alan right now?
I am thinking about Alan right now. That should be my new ringtone. I wonder if we could get her to record that to me and send it.
Oh god, no.
That would be a ballsy request.
Yeah, that would.
So for the listeners, this is a real inside baseball.
We won't be talking about this story.
I have to see her on a regular occasion, so let's not do that.
Well, that'd be so awkward for you.
I'm scared of her.
I would be too. Actually, no, I'm not. We just hate her. Sorry. Alright, sweet. So, let's talk about the news that was. Has anything exciting happened in the last 2 weeks? Wait. I know what's really exciting. Marvel has finally reacquired Spider-Man. We're going to have Spider-Man in the MCU.
Bethesda have announced that they're going to hold their first ever E3 press conference.
Do you think that maybe they might be producing a new Fallout game?
Everyone's speculating Fallout 4. I'm hoping Fallout 4, but there's going to be a lot. Obviously, they're holding a press conference, so they obviously think they've got enough in development to hold one. So they've got to have multiple games going.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, what would we get from them? Maybe Fallout 4 or some kind of... Because the rights to a Fallout MMO still haven't been acquired from anyone. And that was like
hopefully Fallout 4. That's what a lot of people are speculating. A lot of people are also speculating a new Elder Scrolls game.
Well, they've got to announce something after the dismal disappointment.
Whoa, what about Elder Scrolls Online? That still hasn't come yet to PS4. I'm hanging out for that game.
I've heard nothing but bad things.
Sounds forced, Grace.
What can I say? I want a job with Bethesda. I'm not going to badmouth them.
Fair. I don't know. Well, in the past 2 weeks, what did we have on a couple of days back? Monster Hunter 4 is officially released. I'm kind of the only one here that could really care about Monster Hunter.
True.
That's mainly because of my friends.
Our German friend Johannes, who was one of the key members of the T.G.C, is also a big Monster Hunter fan.
Yeah,
and I believe that James is as well too. Hello, James.
Yeah.
Why aren't you here?
Yeah, we're waiting for you, James. Go on, show up on time.
There's a very popular Game of Thrones mod for the game Crusader Kings 2.
Yeah.
And obviously HBO are a bit wary of it because they think that the company that makes Crusader Kings are profiting off this mod, and Crusader Kings like, no, we didn't make it. A fan of ours made it, but we're open to licensing it and possibly making a game.
Hey, guess what? It's already done for you. Just push us a little bit of cash. But hey, not that we're trying to, impose on your copyright. We're just saying if you were that way inclined.
Yeah.
We're just saying a brown paper bag with a bit of money wouldn't go astray. We're kind of failing in sales at the moment. But I don't know, Crusader Kings, it's a fun game. Being able to install an anti-poke. Warning, guys, we'll talk about a lot of old games because we're kind of old and don't get much time to play games anymore.
To be fair, by old, I'm the eldest at 23.
To be fair, by old, I work 3 jobs. Eddie, I can't remember what you do.
I deliver pizza.
Well, some people have it all, don't they?
Yeah, totally.
You're like Fry from Futurama.
I am Fry
Actually,
from
yeah,
Futurama.
I'm getting a Fry vibe.
So I'm personally quite.
I'm just missing the robot best friend.
Well,
I can fix that.
Well, in video game news, we have Battlefield Hardline coming up, which I didn't get a chance to play the beta because I had to be an adult and work. So I'm a bit sad about missing out on that, but I'm pretty sure that's going to take over a lot of my life. Evolve, what are your thoughts on Evolve?
I actually haven't had a chance to play it yet.
Yeah.
I didn't even get a chance to play the beta.
Yeah.
I've heard good and bad things, mostly good things. But the bad things would just be that it's kind of repetitive at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully it turns out well for Turtle Rock.
Well, my concern with Evolve is that it seems like one of those games, if you had a group of 5 people, it would be perfect. If you had a steady group
that's
of
the thing. You need 5. You need yourself and 4 friends.
Yeah.
I've heard it's awesome when you're playing with a group of your friends, but not so much when you're just playing with random people.
Yeah, that's why I like Destiny, because with the 5-team strikes, finding 2 people to play with is not necessarily hard. What becomes hard is when there's 4 or 5 people and you're sort of vying over who actually gets to be in each other's fire teams.
Yeah.
Then it becomes a bit of a Sophie's choice because, honestly, I can only stand that person on a microphone for 20 minutes. So it's not that that's directed at anyone in particular in the group, but
Yeah, just last week, I finally finished Dragon Age Inquisition.
I haven't played that.
Alright, no spoilers.
That took me about 125 hours.
Oh, God.
Fuck, that just scares me.
much does that game
I can't
get?
think of anything I've done for 125 hours, apart from the entire Mass Effect trilogy.
To be
Clearly,
fair,
you've never played Monster Hunter.
to be fair, this is me. I put it off for about a week, where I would turn on the game, I would go to the war table, and I would send my spies and whatever out to finish all of those missions.
Yeah.
And then I did the final mission.
Yeah.
I tell
So, have you played since the new patch has been released for the customization and it balances out a few things?
I'm not quite sure.
It was released about a week ago. give or take?
Probably not. I need to take a break, and then I'm going to go back and do another playthrough because there was one thing that was broken, which was the achievement for killing all 10 high dragons.
Okay.
Where you would kill all 10,
Yep.
but would only register as you'd killed 9. So you either had to load a save
From before
and re-kill another high dragon, or you would just get the achievement when you killed the first dragon of your next playthrough.
Oh.
And because I only found this out I killed all of the high dragons and I continued playing. I didn't notice that the achievement didn't pop. I saved and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I noticed the achievement didn't pop. I checked it out. I looked it up on forums and I was like, well, my last save before killing a high dragon, I'm at 120 hours now, and my last save before killing a high dragon is back when I was at 30 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds a lot like the problems that Dragon Age 2 had, where towards the end of the game, you had to do certain things for... Spoilers, if you haven't played Dragon Age 2 by now, don't. It's not a great game unless you're a big fan of Dragon Age mythos. But
saying that, BioWare, that is a subjective opinion that does not represent the broader community at the T.G.C. And I, for one, think you did a great job.
Can you tell he's not played the game? They had a problem towards the end with the Chantry, and if you didn't do a certain... I can't remember the objective for the life of me, but you had to fight inside the church. And if you didn't do it the exact right way, you just would not get any achievements, any recognition. But the story would go on, and it was almost like nothing even happened.
See, my issue with Dragon Age is, alright, I'm like 10, maybe 12 hours into it, and I had to stop playing it because of, like, adult stuff. Like,
So you actually picked it up?
yeah, I've got it, so yeah.
Oh.
Here's the thing with Dragon Age Inquisition. It's a great game.
Yeah.
It's good at the start as well, but it really doesn't get very exciting until about 30 hours in.
And that's, like, I accept that, and, like, I have enough faith and trust in BioWare that I could go through it, but I've got, like, the amount of gaming time I have each week is maybe 10, 12 hours if I'm lucky.
Yeah.
And so then once I factor in, like, if I'm playing, like, Destiny with, like, Johannes and James, or Battlefield with, like, Alan and Johan, or I want to do, like, a Telltale game or something like that, like, it's just taking time from different areas. Mm-hmm. And so then, like, by the end of, like, the week, I might have, like, 2 or 3 hours I could possibly play Dragon Age. But then I've got my backlog with GTA 5, and I've got Far Cry 4, which I still haven't clocked yet. Yeah. So it's just that whole squeezing of, like, time. And if I was, like, honestly, if I was bedridden for, like, a month and I had, like, some, like, Ebola, but no, that would be a bad one. If I had, like, some, like, virus or something, it means I couldn't leave the house, I would be all over that game.
Yeah, fair enough. Going back to, you mentioned Telltale. Going back to Telltale, I've got the Game of Thrones episodic game that's coming out.
About that. I'm waiting until that comes out.
It's fantastic. I have a couple problems with it though. It's built...
Spoilers?
No spoilers, no spoilers. It's built for next gen, but it looks so previous gen. Oh. It looks like they built it for a 360 when they were building it for the PS4 and Xbox One.
No. They're building it for PC, and then PS4 and Xbox One as an offshoot.
Yeah, I know, but like... They could have done...
Yeah, there's been a bit of, like... There's been a few comments about... Because Telltale is basically, like, they've, like, quadrupled in size since Season 1.
True.
Which I will say, Walking Dead Season 1 is one of my all-time favourite games. Like, that was one of the most emotionally charged games I've ever played.
Another problem with it is... I played Episode 1. I loved it. I started playing Episode 2, and you know how Telltale, it is like, last time... on Game of Thrones or last time on whatever, they do a recap of the previous episode. None of my choices carried over.
Really?
Yeah.
So I checked it out, and it's a problem that's on Xbox One where people's choices aren't carrying over.
See, I can top that. I got to the last episode of The Wolf Among Us, and I got to...
Fantastic game.
Very good game, except for what happened to me, which was, without trying to say spoilers, you have the last confrontation where you have to make a decision, and then after that decision, you get to sort of like the end section of the game where the characters have their resolve. It's literally like the last 20 minutes of the game. Just before I got to that, after I made that last decision, the game glitched and sent me right back to the start.
Ooh, and I'm just like, the start of the final episode?
Yeah, and I'm just like, I'm not going through another hour and 15 minutes of that. I'm like, I'm sorry, Telltale.
More than that, each episode is about 2 hours.
Yeah, it was insane. I'm like, nah, that's just killed the moment for me. Sorry, Telltale.
Now, I went back today, actually. I was listening to some old podcasts, rival podcast.
Shout out to Rooster Teeth.
I was going to say, shout out to NoobTube. We don't kind of exist anymore.
Speak towards the computer.
Yeah, NoobTube. Brilliant bloke. Does anyone remember the older Telltale games, like when they redid Secret of Monkey Island and
what
stuff
about
like that?
Jurassic Park? Because I remember when that game came out, and I'm like, you know what? This is the dinosaur game I've always wanted.
Because it's been too long since Dino Crisis.
Exactly.
I got into Telltale with the Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Which is where I think a lot of people got into Telltale games. And when they really strengthened up their stuff. But
I played the Back to the Future episodes, like 2008 or whatever it was, and those were 2010. And they were, like, alright, like, it was just point and click. There was nothing amazing about it. But then they brought The Walking Dead out. The Walking Dead was just like, well, what the fuck just happened? Who suddenly got some, like, Oscar bait writing talent here?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it's better than the show.
That's not hard. There's more than one zombie on the screen at any time.
Not according to the engine they use.
Yeah, that's the thing with, like, the Telltale game Walking Dead. Sure, it was basically all new characters, but I love that they had the little cameo from Herschel when you show up on the farm in the first episode,
right?
And you had Glenn with you in the first episode.
The Asian dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know that he's the only Korean actor to have sex with a white woman on American television?
Really?
Yep.
So, I mean, there's two ways you could know this. Either you've sat there and watched a lot of TV recently.
I love Korean daytime drama.
That's my territory. Don't move in on it. Thank you very much.
Well, then you should have known.
I haven't got around to that episode yet, Reese.
All right, I was listening to a Kevin Smith podcast, and he was interviewing a guy who he did the artwork for the Facebook offices, and before Facebook became popular.
I remember this story.
When it was still,
yeah, and he was saying that this is just that random.
Instead of paying the dude $10,000, they gave him shares in Facebook.
Yeah, and then when Facebook blew up, suddenly he became worth 10, 20, 30 million overnight. But
I hate if it went the other way.
He was saying that he was at the Korean American thing, and that he was because he's one of the most successful Korean Americans, and the guy from The Walking Dead was there, and it was like his props was because he's the only Korean actor to have had sex with a white woman on American television. And I'm just like, that's multiculturalism at its finest.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so like apart from video games, what about movies that are coming out now? I mean, we've got 50 Shades of Grey, which I'm hoping to see this weekend.
Really? You want to see 50 Shades of Grey?
I've heard that it's 50 Shades of Horrible.
Well, no, she might listen to the podcast. I'm not going to go into it. But anyway, so there's that. There's also Kingsman. Kingsman looks quite good.
That looks great.
Yeah,
and
I would say
they
Kingsman.
they licensed the guys at Rocket Jump to make a short about that.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Yeah. So they did a pretty cool little short with Freddy, and some goon fighting some goons and all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
And there's Jupiter Ascending. That looks pretty okay. Yeah. I think that was the critics' reaction too.
I have opinions about that.
But I think more importantly, what we should really start doing, because it's February, which means that this is coming up way quicker than I was even expecting, is we have to really get moving with our Star Wars evening and planning that launch. Because I'm sorry, December 19th is going to come by really quickly.
Yeah.
Now look, I've already said to Reese when he was saying, "Hey, Star Wars is coming out on such and such a date." By the time he sent me that message, I've already booked the next 4 days off of work. With two companies I work for and a potential company I'm working for a bit later in the year. So they all know that
I'm was on his application form. What was he needs?
I will need these days off.
It kind of was on one of my applications. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, we're kind of all huge Star Wars fans here. Reese probably more than all of us.
Definitely more
I
than all
literally
of us.
sleep under a 4-foot poster of Star Wars.
I'm surprised you don't have a Princess Leia bed pillow.
Have you seen my Thor yet?
No.
Alright, guys, keep talking. I'm going to bring up my Thor. And my cabinet. Have you seen my cabinet?
I saw the photos.
Oh, okay, sweet. I'll show you later.
So Reese is just going to walk off to the other end of the house to grab his,
Reese is technically dead now.
Technically, I thought he died in a snowmobile accident. Because it kills 1 out of, a billion people each year. Yeah, Star Wars. Reese, like he said, he sleeps under a giant Episode 4 poster that hangs on his wall. He's got a massive AT-AT in his room. He's got Star Wars toys and paraphernalia beyond, most normal fans would have. One thing I'm annoyed about him not having is a giant lightsaber that he can actually use. Like the fluorescent tubed ones that you can buy.
It's perfectly modelled after Chris Hemsworth.
So Eddie's just holding the... which one is it? It's the Mega Toys. Hot Toys. Thor from the Avengers.
It's very high quality.
And the quality in it is astounding, to say the least.
The hammer that he's holding, the head is actually made of metal, rather than just being plastic.
Oh, that's the Photoshop image for
So this is our like sound effects for the background for our production value.
Please don't sue us, Disney.
Or
Or
LucasArts.
we could really use the free publicity.
So, Reese, would you like to run back over here quickly and just reenact the conversation that you had with me on the phone at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon regarding this Thor that you had to try and buy when you were buying an Iron Man instead?
Alright. So this was just around my birthday, and I was feeling a little bit depressed because I hate my birthdays.
He's growing old, folks.
Yeah. So I decided that I wanted to buy myself a Hot Toys figure, and initially I was going to go for the Iron Man one. But I wasn't too keen on the Iron Man 3, but I figured, fuck it, I've got a little bit of money to spend. I'm young, slightly older now, because it's my birthday. So, I'm mature enough to justify this purchase. And so I go to a particular place at High Point, which, you know what, fuck it, it's called Game Traders. And, the service at Game Traders is pretty hit and miss on the best of days. And I go in there, and I'm looking at the Hot Toys of Iron Man. And I'm kind of like, alright, this is cool, you know, they've got one on display. How much is it? $350. I'm like, yeah, alright. I'm like, alright, sweet. So do you have the packaging for it? No, we don't have the packaging for it. I'm like, so...
What do you mean they don't... What, they put it on display and they threw out the packaging?
It gets better. Not only did they throw out the packaging, they threw out all the accessories and literally all the customizable options for the Hot Toys variant of Iron Man, which is all about the customizable options. And they still want to charge me full market price for it. Then, it got even better. I'm thinking alright, you know what, I had a quick look on Google, I'm like, you know, the Iron Man Avengers 2 looks way cooler than this, I'll wait 6 months, whatever.
In between, he's also calling me, and I'd only just gotten home from work and was looking at buying some other Figmas and Gundam model kits while this is going on.
Yeah, I'm just running to Brendan. I'm like, Brendan, what the fuck? Like, get down here.
Pretty much.
And so then I go up to him and I'm like, alright, mate, what about Thor? You know, Thor's like $310 in the window. He looks pretty cool. I could go for Thor. And then the guy's like, oh yeah. I'm like, where's Thor's hammer? He's like, oh, we don't have that. I'm like, at that point, I'm kind of like, my bubble for like bad customer service is about to pop. And I'm like, mate, so you're trying to sell Thor without his hammer.
You're trying to sell Thor without Mjolnir.
Yeah, basically, no Mjolnir. And it's just like, and the guy's like, well, yeah, but, you know, like, it's still a good collectible. I'm like, not for that price.
Not when he's missing half the stuff.
That's like selling me a naked Iron Man. It's just like, it's still Iron Man, but it's like Tony Stark naked. Like, it's not the same thing.
Yeah, but he's giant, y'all.
People will pay a lot of money to see Robert Downey Jr. naked.
Exactly. But not me.
Clearly.
So yeah, that was my Hot Toy story, trying to get my Thor. But he looks pretty sweet. I'll post some pictures up with the podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
My cat has been a pain in the ass. One sec.
So yeah, this is the benefit of recording a podcast in a mate's living room. You get cats, you get random noises, probably some gunshots outside.
Well, there is the murder house around the corner.
Yeah. Do you want to tell them the story?
Well,
do you know the story with that?
I don't know the full story. You're going to have to take this one when you get back.
All right, sure.
But I know that you were driving me one time, and there's this burnt-out, shitty house with, like, fencing around it, and you're like, oh, by the way, that's the murder house. I'm like, good to know.
Wait, is that the one just up there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's where that happened. Sorry, really local news for people listening, but, yeah. Where we kind of are is kind of a shitty neighborhood.
I wouldn't say shitty, but...
I mean, it's not great.
Yeah.
There's better places to live, there's worse places to live, but... Look, as long as you don't go outside, you're usually pretty good. And it's usually on the news probably every 3, maybe 4 weeks.
Well, okay. To be fair, it hasn't been on the news as much since the terror raids finished.
Well, yeah, but I think that's a completely different subject and podcast by itself.
So, alright, so I'm back now.
So, give us the story about the murder house.
Alright, so I was driving home, and I was like 5 kilometers from my home, and I could see this massive plume of smoke, and I'm like, not my problem. No one in my house. It's fine. I get closer and I realize that the plume
Little
of smoke...
did you know.
I get closer and I realize that the plume of smoke is actually really close to my street. I'm like, oh, that's a bit disconcerting, but what are the chances it's near my house? So I'm pulling up and I'm about to turn to my street, and all of a sudden it's like police car, like 4 fire trucks and another half dozen police cars. It's taped off. There's like a whole bunch of people, and the house that's at like the edge of my street is just completely on fire, and they're just trying to hose it down. And I'm like...
And the first thing that pops into his head isn't, holy shit, there's a house on fire. It's, God damn it, now I'm going to have to get home another way.
No, I couldn't, because there's only one way into that street, which is where they had it blocked off. And so I had to pull up my car, and then I had to walk around the corner to get to my house. You know, I realised that someone's dead, but seriously, inconvenience. So it turns out...
First world problem.
Oh, totally.
Tell me about it.
So I go up and I start just milling around, having a look at it, taking pictures, as you do, because it's like a bit odd. And, you know...
It's not every day you see the house around the corner from your place on fire.
But to be fair, it's also not that inconsistent to see like a shit ton of police on my street, because I'm not exaggerating when the house across the road from mine was actually the home of one of the MCG terror bombers that was arrested back in like 2005.
Holy fuck.
Yeah. And about 2-minute walk around the corner was where the other bomber lived as well. So like, you know, multiculturalism. So anyway, we're like, I start chatting to a Channel 7 journalist that's there, and like, just, you know, we're just like trying to work out what's going on.
To be fair, you're trying to get a job. I mean,
I was shamelessly networked, because I will use any opportunity to get my business card in someone's hand.
Was she hot?
No, it was a guy.
Was he hot?
He was like a short little Greek bloke who was bald. It was kind of hilarious. Oh, work.
So work is calling Reese.
And it starts calling on the computer as well.
The joys of owning a Mac. So we're going to have to pause this.
We'll be back in a moment.
We will be back once I figure out how to use a pause functionality on this thing. That one. Yeah, all right, go.
Hey guys, sorry about that. We're back now. Reese had a very productive phone call.
Guess who's getting paid tomorrow? Me.
I was going to say...
Let's get drunk!
Yeah.
I was going to say, hence, it's him.
Yeah.
He's going to get drunk off of my alcohol as well.
Yeah, so this is what happened. My manager called me up at like 10:15 at night to ask me to work his shift tomorrow. And it wasn't really a question. It was more you're doing that. So
yeah, well, you know,
we've all been on the receiving end of that phone call.
We've all been on the receiving end of that phone call, and it's like, this isn't a request, is it? No, this is a demand.
Yeah. So like, all right, sweet. I need the money anyway, so I can't complain. I've got to buy a new microphone for our podcast.
We need a podcast setup.
Yeah.
If someone wants to donate a podcast setup, please.
Again, seriously, we'll accept anything, and I am more than happy to shamelessly plug for whichever person wants me to plug for them.
It's true. He really is.
Reese will do anything for you. Anything.
Alright, so what we're talking about before, we're talking about MCG bombers, but that's like really depressing. So
the motor house is what we're talking about.
Motor house, yeah. So I was talking to the attractive Greek journalist, I think we
It's a male journalist.
And then I'm asking him like what's happening there, and he's like, oh yeah, this isn't the first time I've been to one of these like arson scenes. I'm like, oh yeah, and he's like, yeah, I just spoke to the copper, and the woman in there, apparently she was a meth dealer and a prostitute, and she's been murdered. And I'm like,
high class.
I'm like,
high class.
And a prostitute?
I'm like, alright, like what does her being a prostitute have to do with anything?
How did she buy the meth, Reese? Come on.
But seriously, you want to be able to go to your prostitute and also get meth.
To be fair, she was offering us like a convenience service, but I don't know. So apparently what ended up happening was she was murdered, and then they decided that it would be a really, really good idea to burn the house down to get rid of the evidence, because that would be inconspicuous.
In a suburb. So
there's
houses next to it. Come on.
So the follow-up to that was, I heard a couple of weeks later they ended up arresting the people that were doing it, and that was sort of the end of that story.
So they did catch the people.
Yeah, I believe they were. I believe they did, sorry. But now whenever I drive at the end of my street, I have like this like burnt-out shell of a house with like a dead person, like a dead hooker and drug lab.
And didn't someone like spray paint R.I.P. Mummy on the front of the house?
Oh yeah,
like
she had like 5 kids as well too, or something. It was a really sad story. And then one of the people asked if I could look after the dog in the backyard, and I'm like, I'm not taking that sort of responsibility. Sorry.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah. I mean, I felt bad about it, but like, you know, like I'm busy.
It's a meth dog.
Yeah, no,
it's a meth dog.
No, the dog went.
I'm just imagining a dog dressed up like Walter White right now.
No. I will just put on the record that the dog was taken by one of my other neighbours, who was a far more dog-inclined person than myself, and the dog is fine.
Reese is a cat person.
I hate cats. They just fucking come to me.
He doesn't.
Reese hates cats. Cats don't hate Reese.
What are you doing? Misty, what are you doing? My cat's being weird at the moment.
It's not actually his cat. It
Your
just
cat,
kind of
your cat
forced its
fucking
way in.
loves me.
She always tries to scratch you.
Yeah, she's playing.
It's like playing, Reese. Come on.
You know how cats are.
I know what cats are like when they're trying to scratch you.
Violent and angry and little balls of hate.
Yeah, but cats show their love to you by bringing you dead things.
That's
do
actually
dogs.
there's
My dog
actually the
bought me a
psychology
rat.
behind that is meant to be contempt. Because apparently you're so inefficient at hunting that they have to do it for you. Isn't that right, Missy? Yeah.
Well, I
Well,
believe that.
back at my old house, I used to live down in Heidelberg, and we had these massive trees in our front yard that were just infested with possums. Now, we had a cat who was the best cat ever, and almost every day we'd find like a dead possum in our driveway or whatever. And we'd be like, sweet, a dead possum, let's clean it up, put it in the bin. Occasionally we'd find
The bin.
Occasionally we'd find a dead possum, we're like, how the fuck did this possum die? Because like there were no physical, like you couldn't see any physical injuries and anything like that. So we'd get a stick and you'd flip it over, and the thing was emptied out. There was like a slit down the front, and the cat had just emptied this possum out, and we're like, right.
So I was actually thinking that as you're telling us that horrific story, what the theme of our show would be. And like when I was starting it out, because alright, just for those of you who are unaware, about 12 months ago, I created a Facebook group originally it was called the Super Secret Underground Gaming Club.
Yeah, my idea.
That was Eddie's idea. Unfortunately, it didn't really roll off the tongue.
So then we moved to ISIS. But ISIS in a reference to Archer.
No. We have to be very careful with how we explain this part.
Yeah, well.
As in ISIS, as in a reference to the popular TV show Archer.
I mean, let's be very clear that this was before Abu Baghdadi broke into like Abu Ghraib prison and like ISIS became a world-known thing. It was before they invaded Iraq. So like when we came up with the idea of calling our gaming group ISIS, it was long before they hit the mainstream.
It was very innocent.
Yeah, it was. It was literally... I was just as shocked as everyone else when it turns out that, like, the most evil terrorist group in existence also had the same name that we had. So, like...
And obviously someone had to change their name and they weren't going to do it.
But yeah.
I mean, we could have made them, but...
Like, it was just one of those things that was just easier just to be like, alright, we're not going to let the terrorists win, but this time we will. So we decided to change it to the T.G.C, which stands for the Greendale Crew, after the greatest comedy of all time, Community.
6 seasons in a movie.
Exactly, we're up to 6 seasons now. Thank you, Yahoo. Yahoo, if you want to endorse us.
We will produce the movie.
Yeah, we will. We have all the recording equipment right here.
We've got a laptop, and
A MacBook with GarageBand is all we need.
I've got a Samsung, so
Yeah,
we're good.
with my iPhone camera, we're fine. So we decided in last couple of weeks, Brendan, Johannes, and myself were having a chat about trying to like create the TGC and expand it so we could work on building the brand of this little Facebook group that we have, which is more or less like a group designed to like try and coordinate gaming sessions and to like share interesting stuff. So we're not
because mainly like basically everyone in the group has a PlayStation 4 or an Xbox One and a PC, except for me. I've got a PC, a PS3, a PS2, and a 360. And Eddie, what do you got again?
I have an Xbox 360 and an Xbox One.
Okay.
I don't even have a PC at this point. My laptop.
You still got the.
My laptop is a piece of crap and doesn't work anymore.
Would you like to tell them the heartwarming story of how you got your Xbox One?
My Xbox One. Okay.
Come on,
being the Microsoft and / Xbox fanboy that I am, even though I wasn't going to be getting an Xbox on launch night, I decided to go to the midnight launch with a few of my friends who were getting Xboxes. Now, Reese would have none of this, and immediately says to me, "How much do I have to put in to get you an Xbox tonight?" And I immediately said, "You don't need to do that, dude. It's fine. I'll wait a couple months and I'll get an Xbox." And he just looks at me and goes, "You will take my money."
So, when some people say that I'm an asshole, I tell them that story, and that's how I get off.
It's true. It is very true. No, to be fair, Reese, although he's kind of got like an asshole stigma, he's a nice bloke.
Yeah.
I mean, he's very generous.
He's a top bloke.
I'm very charming.
I mean, at the moment, we're using his chairs, his Mac, and his table. So
My fold-out card table.
His fold-out card table. So we kind of can't complain.
Yeah. My generosity knows no limit.
Because he'll kick me outside, and this is a street with a murder house in it. So,
but to be fair, since the house burnt down and the AFP arrested the terrorists, it's a lot better suburb.
Give or take. So basically, the group was created so we could coordinate our gaming. Now, I went and got a bunch of my mates who don't really know Reese or anything, or maybe met them once or twice.
Yeah, all my friends are a bit weirded out by that, by the way.
And brought them into it because, like, the bigger the group, the better. The more chances people have to play with each other. So far, besides Destiny and Battlefield, I don't really know how that's working. So, Reese, is it really... Are we making leaps and bounds into coordinating our gaming, or...
The problem is that there's a core group of about 6 people who more or less make up the bulk of the content that goes up there. Like, I'm not saying that like there are certain people in the group that don't pull their own weight. There are, but I don't want to name their names on here, obviously.
Because you're listening.
Yeah.
You know who you are.
Well, you should be listening. If you're not, well, it kind of says something about how I feel towards you right now.
Hell, I'm one of the people recording. I mean,
but I mean, no, it works out for what it's designed to do. I mean, like, for coordinating gaming sessions and for, like, sharing information amongst ourselves, it's really good because it means that we're not, like, constantly bombarding each other with tags and, like, posting on each other's walls, which is good. But going back to what the original idea was that having a chat with Johannes, we decided that it would be really interesting to see if we could turn the T.G.C. into something that is bigger than what it currently is. And so what we're doing on one hand is we're creating a website, which is going to be like the actual website for the T.G.C. itself. And so we're going to be using that as a bit of practice for website building. Then another thing we're going to start looking at doing is streaming and recording and editing gameplay videos. And so having a look at what people like Level Cap, the Neebs guys, the guys from like
Inside Gaming people,
the Inside Gaming guys that are now part of Rooster Teeth.
Yeah,
exactly.
So we want to try and get on that sweet internet advertisement cash.
All 5 cents of it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I should mention that the Inside Gaming guys are now known as Funhouse. FUNHAUS.
Hey, unless they're plugging us, we're not plugging them.
Hey, they're awesome guys.
I'm sure they are.
If we plug them now,
they'll plug us later.
Very true karma.
What a saying.
So we're looking at creating video content that we're going to distribute on YouTube and use that as essentially a promotional tool to direct towards the website. Ideally, we want to get into a position where we have enough subscribers, enough followers that we can have our games paid for us by major studios by positioning ourselves from a PR perspective as shameless spokespeople for brands.
Now,
essentially, we just want our podcasting and our gaming to pay for itself.
Now, this is Reese being a cynical old man and thinking that money just comes from the internet.
No. This is
gotta get that Google money.
No, this is Reese using his PR skills to try and get something for us all. And no, we're not saying that we want gaming to. We're saying that what we're doing to pay for our gaming. What we're saying is that we are passionate about this industry. And we have voices.
We love this.
Yeah, we have a voice and we have ideas and we have something we would gladly share.
That's the thing we love about. That's
content.
the thing we love about this industry and the internet. All is your voice can always be heard.
Yeah.
And with this industry, people want to hear your voice because they want to know how their game is doing, how it can be better.
Yeah.
What's wrong with it? If there are bugs that can be easily fixed, they put this stuff out there, and they want your feedback most of the time.
Yeah, and I mean, for a lot of, Australia, we don't have many big development studios anymore. There's a lot of indie gaming. I hate to use the word indie gaming because it's got too big now. But there's a lot of smaller studios that do iPhone games, Android games. They do the occasional Xbox Live or PSN release. And any kind of way to help them out and make them get a bit of a footing, it helps them, it helps us.
I think what Brendan's trying to say is that we would love to be in a position where we could offer a platform for small developers and organizations that otherwise wouldn't have the marketing and PR funds to do it for themselves and show their games to a wider audience and show their games to the audience that we want to try and acquire and we want to get.
Yeah.
And in return, we can try and create some form of like synergetic growth where by us developing and showing off their wares, it's also in return going to grow our audience. And so it's mutually beneficial for everyone.
Exactly. Yeah. So basically...
Synergetic word. Yeah,
synergetic
if it isn't, it is now.
Yeah.
So
Call Oxford.
Basically, to go back to our actual original topic, Reese and Johan and a few others had this idea of, okay, we'll start up a podcast. We'll see how we go. Maybe we could get a game for free every now and then. Maybe we could get exclusive alpha and beta stuff. We could help out indies.
Maybe we can just make our voice heard.
Exactly. Look, to be honest, it gives us an excuse to meet up once a week, once a fortnight, have a few drinks and catch up. And now I've been looking at podcasts and stuff since about 2008. And on YouTube, the first kind of podcasts I listened to were NoobTube. Now, they were just two blokes, and they weren't doing the podcast for anything other than sitting down and talking shit and telling you more what it's like to be a gamer, what it's like to be involved in the culture, not this stigma of this game is good, I'm going to podcast about this game, I'm going to tell you my opinions about a certain game. It was a way for them to do what they did at the office, which was walk up to each other's desks and go, hey, have you played Tomb Raider? Yeah, Tomb Raider was awesome. It was a way for them to meet up after work, spend an hour, 2 hours together, and just kind of talk shit at the camera and express their opinions, and it caught on.
Essentially what Brendan's trying to say is that we're very lonely and we want to try and use technology to bring us together.
Yeah, like with...
technology timbers.
with my pizza delivery job, I have a lot of free time in the car while I'm driving back and forth from the shop and places.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of podcasts. Like I listen to Rooster Teeth, and I listen to the new Funhouse podcast, and I listen to IGN, and I listen to a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just that I can't quite figure out where I'm going here. It's just that I listen to a lot of podcasts.
It fills in times, and you kind of get the idea in your head, like, hey, I can do that.
Yeah, I like talking. I like games.
I'd like it if people listen to me when I talk about games.
Yeah.
Because my parents sure as hell don't. I mean, me. Other people sure as hell don't.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry guys, just to cut in. Has anyone else noticed that this kind of looks like a Rorschach test?
Yeah.
Like, it's really starting to distract me, because like, you're seeing like
I've noticed
different types of fish.
I've noticed that a lot of them look a lot like a penis.
Look, it's...
I noticed that when you start talking.
Are you saying he has cock breath, y'all?
Yeah, so that's kind of what the aim of this is to be. I mean, obviously this first episode is just a trial run to see whether or not we can actually get it to work. And I think it seems to have gone quite well, since we've gone for like 42 minutes and we haven't really said anything of substance.
Yeah, we haven't said anything of substance. There's been no structure. It's good. It turns out alcohol is a really, really good way to record a podcast.
It's gone quite well. We've gone for almost 45 minutes, and we got a chance to pause and listen to a bit of it, and it actually sounds a lot better than we expected.
So for those of you that this will be given out to a bit later...
For those of you that have stuck it through till this part, thank you.
What the hell are you doing with your life? Seriously, you could be doing something better.
How do we even upload this?
Oh shit! Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so
we probably should have thought about that first.
So to harken back, there's a few things. One, recording the podcast, it turned out to be very stressful and...
A much bigger pain in the ass than we expected.
It took us about 3 weeks to figure out, hey, a laptop has a microphone in it. Why don't we just use that and sit around a table?
But to be fair, that was because the internet kept telling us that the laptop microphones were shit. And you know what? Apple rules.
Hell, not even Apple. I mean, let's broaden our horizons. I'm saying anything that has any kind of OS rules, because we want that sponsorship.
What about Vista?
Look, Vista was a thing. As long as you didn't use a printer, it was fine. So, for those of you out there, comment back to us with how you think the audio quality and the lack of structure in this podcast is.
We promise we'll do better next time.
Would you guys like to hear my really lame joke I made on Facebook earlier today?
Well then, if I didn't say it, I want to hear it.
Sure, go for it.
It was apparently like Microsoft and 343 Studios have announced that they're going to produce the Halo Nightfall TV series as a feature-length film in May.
Yeah.
And
Really?
yeah, so my
Wait, they're going to release it in cinemas?
no, they're just going to release it in like a Blu-ray.
Okay,
thing,
yeah.
And like my response to that was, well, isn't the Halo Nightfall series basically like Windows Vista? We kind of just know it exists. We all used it for a little bit, and now we just wish it would go away.
Oh god.
But 343, if you want to send us Halo 5.
Or hell, if you want us to be extras in the Nightfall movie, we'll take it.
Apparently your bar was pretty low.
Oh god. So so look, I think we should probably go around the table. We'll start with Eddie. So gaming, kind of, where did you start with gaming and your love for games?
Where did I start with gaming? I had a Super Nintendo when I was younger. It was my older brother's Super Nintendo, so we used to play Mario and Donkey Kong Country 2 and all that sort of stuff together. But my love for gaming really kicked off where a bunch of my friends got me a PlayStation 1 for my 6th birthday.
Huh.
They're good friends.
Yeah.
PlayStation 1, not cheap.
They all got their parents to band together and they bought me a PlayStation 1 with Crash Bandicoot, and Silent Hill. I got Silent Hill when I was 6 years old.
You have great
That
friends.
explains so much. Well, for me it was, I used to play a lot of PC games with my dad when I was growing up, like Flight Simulator, that sort of stuff. I remember I got a Nintendo 64 on my 6th birthday.
Yep.
Sixth birthday seems to be a theme here.
Yeah, and I got the Nintendo 64. No, it wasn't on my 6th birthday. It was just after I turned 6. And the rule was that the agreement was that I had to read a book completely, and then my parents would give me a Nintendo 64. And also try and incentivize me to read. And so,
Look how that worked. We're recording a video game podcast, not a book podcast.
I still love reading these days.
but what I did is actually fairly, like, now that I think back at it, probably like a really good way of looking at how I was going to turn in the future, which is that instead of learning how to read, I just memorized it. so,
Thank you for the uni education.
So instead of reading it, I said, I don't need to read the book, I'm that good. So I just read it out loud, and my parents were so impressed that they gave me the Nintendo 64. And so then it kind of taught me at the age of 6 that if I cheat, I can win.
A fantastic lesson to learn.
Yeah. So yeah, that was sort of my early experience of gaming. The first one was like Mario 64, which yeah. And then it was Super Smash Brothers and GoldenEye were sort of the two games that were like my younger years.
Super Smash Brothers still holds up these days. I remember
Well, I mean, they released
me and a bunch of my friends and my brother, and we'd go next door to my next door neighbour's house, and we would just chill out in their mum's room. This is like last year, and we would just crack out Super Smash Brothers on 64. Yeah.
So basically, my gaming startup and style started probably closer to when I was about 8. Like, I had a Sega Mega Drive 3, I had a 64, but nothing really kicked in for me until I was 7, 8 years old, when I got Pokemon Yellow. Now, my house was a bit weird. I wasn't allowed to play a game until my mum had beat it. So I got Pokemon Yellow, Pokemon Blue, and the gold Pokemon Pikachu Limited Edition Game Boy Color. Now, Mum goes, cool, you've got this, you're old enough to play it, we're going to let you play it, but first, Pokemon I want to play. So I had to wait 4 months of owning a Game Boy Color before I was allowed to play it. Now, a few of my mates at school had it. They already played it. They're like, oh, come trade Pokemon with me, battle me, blah, blah, blah.
Was this because your your mum took ages to play the game, or because your mum loved it so much that she didn't let you near it because she wanted to keep playing it?
This was because my mum loved Pokemon so much. She would spend probably 2 to 3 hours of actual game time each night just running around on Pokemon Yellow with Pikachu following her, laughing her head off because she had Pikachu following her. So she finally bet a Pokemon game and I was allowed to play. Then I had to fight Mum for the use of a Game Boy Color. Needless to say, I ended up winning that, and then you couldn't get it off me at any stage. Then I went through the regular thing of I got a PS2, like everyone did when they were,
You had a PS1.
No, I never had a PS1.
I remember the same year that I got the PlayStation 1 for my birthday. My parents bought myself and my brother Game Boy Pockets for Christmas.
Right. So the thing I had was me and my cousin for.
You're young.
So me and my cousin for the same year.
2 years younger than you.
For me and my cousin the same year, we both wanted PlayStation 1s. Now, he got a PlayStation 1 and I got a PlayStation 2. Then I found out PlayStation 2s could play PlayStation 1 games. I've lorded it over him ever since.
Which is a great insight into his personality.
Look, to be fair, I'm kind of hilarious. So then, yeah, I was playing PlayStation 2, and I think I spent the most amount of time in Crazy Taxi.
Yeah,
just because of how stupid that game was, and the fact that you could never turn off the Offspring soundtrack, puts a big hole into my personality. Look through, see what I am.
That's the crazy part of Crazy Taxi. It's just like hours and hours of Offspring on repeat.
It's like, literally insanity.
Yeah,
you hear those songs and you want to kill yourself at the moment.
Let's go through this one moment. What consoles have you owned? I had the SNES, PlayStation 1. I've had multiple handhelds. I'm not going to go through it. That's another topic.
That's a big topic.
But I went from PlayStation 1 to GameCube. From GameCube, we went to Xbox, and I've been Xbox ever since.
Yep.
For me, it was my first console was a 64. Then the next one I got was an Xbox that I bought for myself on my 11th birthday. I saved up for like 6 months to buy it, so I was very proud of that. Still have the box somewhere, I think. Mm-hmm. I don't have the console, I've got the box. Weirdly. And then the next console I got was the 360, and I kind of went through a bit of like an Xbox fanboy stage for a while.
Just a little.
No, I know it wasn't.
Wait, you skipped over the original Xbox?
No, I had that. That's what I bought when I was 11.
Yeah.
Then I bought 360, 4 years later. Again, I worked school holidays and saved up for that. Loved my 360, and then it died. 360. And then
another one.
Yeah, no, then I had another two actually.
Yeah, you bought another one. That one red ringed on you?
No, because the first one died from the disc ejector broke. Then the second one died from a single red light.
Yeah. And then the third one's the Halo Reach one,
the Halo Reach
which is the one I have.
Yeah, which is one I gave Brendan. Oh, no, that's where that went.
Dude, I bought your... right, you finished that bottle of scotch. I paid for it.
That's gone.
So you've bought most of your own consoles?
I bought all my consoles. Every gaming device I bought. Except for my 3DS and my Vita. My parents got me those as like a joke for Christmas.
Most of my...
A joke that he's almost never put down.
Most of my consoles and handhelds came from either birthday or Christmas.
Yeah. No,
I mean, I didn't buy my own console until Xbox 360.
Well, see, I learned that because my mum would be like, when I was a kid, I'll take the Nintendo off you if you don't, if you're bad.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wait a second, if I buy it, it's my personal property.
Yeah.
That's stealing.
Yeah.
So,
I've used that against my parents a couple of times because in my room, my entertainment center is all on a trolley.
Yeah.
The TV and all that are all on this stand that has wheels on it.
Yeah.
So my parents used to get pissed off at me and they would
just wheel it.
They would just wheel it out of my bedroom. But then I bought my own TV. Then I bought my own TV. I bought my own Xbox. And then the first time they tried to do that, I was like, don't ever touch the stuff that I bought with my own money.
So, yeah.
And then back in like 2011, I started getting into PS3. I started playing, it was Uncharted 2. Absolutely fell in love with that game. Then I bought a PlayStation 3 so I could have like a Blu-ray player and catch up on some of the back
To
catalog.
be fair, you bought a new TV and it just happened to come with a PS.
No, I was going to buy them at the same time
Yeah.
because I got my TV from the dodgy Asian place at Broady Shopping Centre where you don't ask where they get their stock from.
The one that doesn't exist anymore.
No, it just moved. It's now next to the hairdresser place. It's where the pet store used to be.
Yeah.
Very inside
There
baseball.
used to be
for
a
you.
pet store at Broady.
Yeah,
For those of you in the
That's
northern suburbs of Melbourne, Broadmeadow Shopping Centre, pretty seedy.
Classy place.
Let's just say I got a really good deal on the television, but I didn't get a receipt for it. So, like, put that into perspective.
It fell off the back of a truck.
And the warranty was for a different TV.
I've never seen that.
I got it somewhere. And then, so then I bought an Xbox One, which when I first got it, I hated it so much and traded it in.
It's because
You made me rebox it up
I got
perfectly.
because Brendan was like a little Chinese kid. He had that like boxed up so perfectly.
the Xbox One is a great console. It's just that there wasn't much to do with it when it first came out.
Yeah, it
There was nothing to do with it.
and the Xbox One is good. So let me keep going. So I got an Xbox One. I then traded that in for a PS4, and then about
2 weeks later.
no, about 4 months later, it was in June.
Bullshit.
No, it was in June.
Once the dry spell for the Xbox
Yeah.
One ended.
Yeah, then EB Games was offering a great trade-in deal for the Xbox. So I traded in my PS3
Okay.
and the rest of my backlog of games for Xbox One. So that's why I now have like all the consoles.
And then sold me his Halo Reach edition of Xbox 360. So I finally slightly caught up.
And then back in about 18 months ago, nearly 2 years ago, I built my gaming PC, which is just sitting there like a black
Brick.
behemoth. And that was like my little obsession for a couple of months. And then when I got it, all my friends were like, yeah, I'm going to build one too, Reese. We'll have gaming PCs and we'll be Steam buddies. And then no one else fucking did.
Hey, in my
Instead-
defense, my dad promised me money for my 21st birthday. And then when my 21st birthday rolled around, he said, you're not getting the money unless it's for a car.
So you bought a car with a gaming PC in it.
Yeah, so now my gaming PC acts as my central entertainment hub.
It really does. It really does.
What about yourself, Brendan?
So I, started off. I had the Mega Drive 3 for those of you that are interested. Crash Test Dummies, great game. Moved to
That's what you had. Yeah, I don't remember now.
moved to a Nintendo 64. Pilot Wings was probably the biggest game I ever played on there. Then from that, I moved to a Game Boy Color. Played basically all the Pokemons that were on that, including Pokemon Pinball. Then got a PlayStation 2. Still have the PlayStation 2. Still have the Game Boy. Still have the 64. I don't have the Mega Drive anymore. Unfortunately, that burned down.
Wait. Elaborate.
Okay, so basically what happened was my mum decided that, hey, Brendan's friends, their parents don't really have the money to spend on a console. We'll give them your
Old
Sega
ones.
Mega Drive
Okay.
because you have a 64. So I was like, okay, sure, look, I didn't pay for it, and I'm young at the time, so why not?
Yeah.
I don't
fair
really
enough.
have a say in this. It's kind of Dad's console anyway, and Dad doesn't really care for video games, unless they're a motorbike game.
Road Rash.
Yeah. So we gave my friends this Sega Mega Drive 3. They plugged it into the wall, plugged it into their TV, and then probably half an hour later, after trying to get some game to work, because I can't remember why, but the game just would not work, the console started to catch fire. And it turns out their house grid was on a different power grid. And yeah, the power going through the socket in the wall just decided to melt the console.
Holy crap.
So I've got a photo of the desk that the console was sitting on, and the desk is kind of like this wood desk with this black, brownish, grey plastic dripping all over it and melted like a pool. And that was an interesting afternoon, to say the least. So I had the PlayStation 2. played the absolute living hell out of a PlayStation 2. Big shout out to Drakengard and Drakengard 2. I probably sunk about 800 and something hours into each of them.
Holy shit.
The sad part is I'm still playing them because I love those games so much. JRPG.
There's nothing sad about that. I never had a PlayStation 2, but my cousins did, and I used to visit them all the time.
Right.
I remember one time I locked myself in their gaming room and just plowed through Kingdom Hearts 2.
Right. See, I did the same thing with the Dragon Ball Z fighting games. Went down to my cousin's place one day down in Geelong, locked myself in there in one of my cousin's rooms at the start of New Year's Eve at like 10 in the morning, and played it until someone woke up at 5, 6 at New Year's Day and said, "Hey, Brendan, we're leaving because I'm shit hungover." So that was fun. So played the PS2, then went out and bought a PS3. Now, I bought PS3 probably 2 months after release, and this was a kid in year 8 of high school, didn't have a job, just kind of worked with pocket money and with his dad if he had the chance. And yeah, I paid for that entire thing, all $1,000 of it.
Okay.
Which in year 8 was pretty big.
Yeah. I do have to mention that although I'm a huge fan of the Xbox, I did at one point buy myself a PlayStation 3, played a bunch of their exclusives, which I found that what's the one with the aliens? Resistance.
Right.
I found Resistance to be horrible. Traded it in immediately. Traded it in immediately. Went and played Infamous, which was amazing.
Yep.
Played Infamous 1 and 2, and then I played The Last of Us when that came out. That was amazing, and then I traded the console in.
Yep.
And got an Xbox One.
Yep. So
thanks to Reese.
Bringing it back.
Full circle, y'all. So I had the PS3, and I've played that pretty much ever since. I mean, at the moment, it's kind of a glorified Blu-ray player, but I still play it. But in the meantime, I've had always...
I like how you just glossed over your trophy whore phase.
Okay, well, look, everyone else had Xbox achievements. I kind of didn't really have anything.
Yeah,
or a laptop that was capable of playing anything other than Warhammer Dawn of War.
And those of us that have Xbox achievements laugh in the face of PlayStation trophy whores. It's like, seriously?
Now,
you're trying to catch up to you're trying to catch up with the whole achievement thing, and trophies just didn't quite cut it.
Now, I'm just saying I may have gone back a few years later and played a few games that Reese had close to 1,000 achievement points on, and platinumed and got all the trophies for. One of which was Fallout 3. At the time, Fallout 3 was kind of broken because it was only about 2 months after release.
You played Fallout 3 on my 360.
Kind of broken doesn't even really begin to describe it.
And liked it because he rented it to try it, and I liked it so much, I went out and bought it for the PlayStation.
I rented it in 2008. That's when I played Fallout 3.
Yeah, late 2008. Now, I bought it kind of December-ish, and then bushfires went through my area. We weren't allowed to leave our houses and stuff. We had power. So I went, well, what better time to platinum Fallout 3? So I played that for about 5 days straight.
So I wish we had another massive natural disaster so I could really clock Dragon Age Inquisition.
I wish more people's houses would burn down so I could have more time to play games.
I'm just saying,
look, we could have an hours of podcast just by that.
You've got to find silver linings in otherwise dark situations.
Like stealing orphans to play all your games for you. PlayStation 3. In the meantime, I've had always had a laptop that was capable of playing kind of middle-range games. So I've done a lot of PC gaming.
Minecraft destroyed my laptop.
Are you serious? Well then. I've gone out and bought kind of the top of the line Acer and Lenovo laptops, so I can mainly be able to run Total War and strategy games at their full strength.
Yeah, Total War 2 is great.
Well, I'm still playing Shogun 2 with a friend of mine, Ryan.
I used to play countless hours of Medieval 2 Total War.
I'm still playing that as it is. I mean, I've got a campaign that's up to about 200 hours at the moment.
Yeah.
So I've always had something to play games with. Just recently, I've acquired a 3DS for Monster Hunter 4. Sadly, I'm yet to play Monster Hunter 4, even though I've bought it and it's sitting on my shelf at the moment. I'm still trying to force my way through Monster Hunter 3, just because I want to finish all the story-ish quests, because I know I'm never going to go back. I've borrowed PlayStation Vitas. I've had PSPs, Vitas. I had an N-Gage at one point. God, that was awful. Yeah, so that's kind of my console and gaming sum up, I guess.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we're just over about an hour now.
We're not sure how long we want to record this for.
Yeah, we probably should start thinking about wrapping it up, because the last 20 minutes has been us reminiscing about what we've bought.
To be fair,
Yeah.
you buy these things, you want people to know about them sometimes.
Yeah, you got to brag sometimes. But yeah, we're at about an hour now, so I reckon we'll wrap up.
So, yeah, we'll wrap up now. So
This has been the Greendale Crew podcast. This is Eddie.
Reese.
And this is Brendan.
Signing off.
And we'll talk to you later.
Cheers.